Hello there and welcome to Mental Health Monday. Today I'm going to be talking about excess emotions and rather than talking about things like cyclothymia, excess anger, because I've talked about that before, I'm going to be talking about emotional dysfunction, where you have incorrect or over-the-top emotional responses to things. Now, when you're ill, it's like emotional white noise in your head. It is part of the reason why you get so angry when you're having a dysphoric episode with cyclothymia, because you get into a negative emotion spiral and you have an inappropriately large response to that, you have a disproportionately large response to that because there are no coping strategies, there's no coping mechanisms to deal with all this excess emotion going on in your head, so you just lose it. The same with sadness responses to things that happen. Even small things can set you off and just send you into a despair spiral. So yeah, I don't know how to offer any advice to deal with that because I was very bad at dealing with it, and in recovery I just do the normal stuff. I'll take myself out of a situation if I'm angry and count to 10 and calm myself down by telling myself how illogical it is to respond like this to this crisis, and that's not going to help me deal with it. Same thing with sadness, things that make me sad. I try and logically work through what's made me so upset and figure out a way to deal with it. But that's, to me, not the hardest part of excess emotion. The hardest part of excess emotion for me has been the emotional flatline gradually lifting, feeling nuanced responses to a lot of things and not knowing how to express them. If you've been emotionally flatlined for the longest time, even the littlest bit of emotion feels like too much. So especially in company, or it's the worst in company, especially people I don't know, because then I feel especially self-conscious about it. When you're trying to express something, you don't know where on the dial to set the response. You can't modulate. I feel like all my emotional responses are either 100%, which is way too high, or 0, which is nowhere near enough. I feel like I get it wrong every single time, and especially in company, I try and watch other people to see what their responses might be, trying to take my cues from them, and then I try to emulate it. But when I emulate it, I'm like, no, that wasn't like that. That was too much. I still gave it too much. I'm constantly self-monitoring and judging my ability to emulate responses because I just don't have a clue. I admit it, hands up, I'm clueless. I don't know what's too much and what's not too much. I think it's going to take a lot longer because I've been so emotionally flatlined for so long that it's just going to take me a while to figure out modulations. It's just, at the moment, it's bewildering to me. At the moment, I try and film something where I'm excited and I'll just watch it back and feel like I'm watching a maniac. I'm like, whoa, you need to dial it back like 500 million points there, girl. You know, I feel like everything I do is over the top, and then I see people and they're doing things that I feel like are way too high on the emotional spectrum, but everyone around them seems fine with it, and I don't get it. I just don't. It's like in normal human company, even people I know, if people are being silly or over the top or something like that, I just don't get how everyone's tolerating it. Not because I am not, don't get me wrong, it's because I just don't understand what's too much and what's too little. And like I said, I think it's going to take me a long time to do that. And also in terms of excess emotion, it's not just expressing it in front of people and feeling like you're not getting it right. It's feeling stuff you're not used to feeling and being really disconcerted by it. I didn't cry for the longest time. I believe I've mentioned that before. I didn't acknowledge sadness. I would be very sad, and for me that would be like being shoved in a pile of gloop, you know, couldn't really breathe, couldn't really move. My experience of sadness was very much a physical one of pain and discomfort. Now I feel the emotion and there are tears, but it's for everything, you know? I can cry at an advert and it's like, I've never done that before, ever. And I see that a lot of people do that, and I feel like maybe then it's normal, but I don't know. It doesn't feel normal for me. So I still don't look at it that way. I was like, what the hell are you crying at that for, you daft cow? It's not even that sad. It's not even real, you know? I get frustrated basically with my own emotional responses because they do feel too much, and I do feel like I'm not coping with them, but I will get there. You know, I will get there. It's just a case of having to relearn emotion and how to deal with it, and also learning how to put a label on an emotion, because if you've been emotionally flatlined for a long time, you can't always pinpoint what an emotion is. It's like, I'm feeling something, don't quite know what it is. Don't really have any language to express this emotion. What is it? So it can be a little bit of a guessing game as to what's going on inside of you. And yeah, it's about a 10 million times harder guessing game as to what's going on inside of other people too, and knowing how to respond to that. And this is the thing that really I wanted to touch on with this excess emotions thing, that I feel that emotion is such a big part of human interaction that you really can feel your alienation 10 times more strongly. You can't expect people to know that you're struggling and to turn around and say, hey, you're doing really well and you're coming across as fine, don't worry about it. You don't come across as a weird alien creepazoid. That would be cool. I would probably be a bit embarrassed if someone did. So yeah, don't do that. It's just, I'm gonna have to figure it out for myself, whether I'm getting it right or not, and stop being so self-conscious about it, because I see people being what I consider to be ridiculously over-emotional all the time, and other people are just fine with it. And I don't see why that doesn't apply to me. I mean, I know that there's crap that goes on in my head that tries to tell me that it doesn't apply to me, you know? And that's what I'm going to be talking about next time. The bullshit mantra. The little voices in your head that try and tell you all the time, you're not a human being. You don't belong here. None of this is for you. I don't know why you're bothering, because you're not one of these people. Look at you. Look at the state you are. Look at the mess you're in. Look how pathetic you are, you know? That little voice, that little bullshit merchant that needs a damn good kick up the arse at least 1,000 times a day. We're going to be talking about that in 2 weeks' time, and it is deeply pertinent to this whole emotions thing, because the amount of second guessing that I do to myself when I'm in public and conversing with people, it makes it exhausting. Not only at the time, but afterwards, when I'm out of the social situation. I try not to, but I can feel my head starting to go over every tiny nuance of what happened, to find stuff to judge myself badly on. Like, oh, you really overdid it in that conversation. Hey, I bet they thought you were such a weirdo. That kind of thing. And it's kind of like, well, if they did, so what? I can't do any better in the sort of moment that I'm conversing with someone. And I think it will improve. The more I talk to people, the more I have interactions, it will improve. It's just a matter of extreme rustiness and relearning and stopping the constant self-judgment and self-consciousness, because it doesn't help. It makes everything even more super awkward than it already is. And oh boy, the super awkward is, yeah, strong within this one. Yeah. So, that is excessive emotions. Both emotions that you feel are too large for you to express in any healthy and useful way, and regaining emotions after being emotionally flatlined, and being unable to understand how to modulate them, and feeling self-conscious, especially in company, about how you are expressing your emotions. Even if you see other people expressing them in what seems to be the same way, you kind of feel like, no, I'm just not hitting that right note, I'm getting it too much or it's too little, and I'm looking like you know, I'm inauthentic, which is just the worst thing ever, because we already feel like aliens, already feel completely inauthentic, already feel like we're just like wrongness masquerading in a human skin half the time. I know I do. So it doesn't help to be feeling like that, and I just want you to know you're not alone if you're feeling that way, and it does get better, slowly but surely. And because, you know, I have been emotionally flatlined for years, and I am gradually getting better. Little tiny increments, baby steps and all that stuff. So that's that. And in 2 weeks' time, we are going to be punching the bullshit mantra in the face. So I hope you'll join me for that, and I hope today was useful. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.